All right. What's going on, everyone? My name is Tim Williams. It is Friday, October 1st. It is the final big main slate on the season for the MLB season. Just want to real quick thank you everybody for watching. It's been one hell of a journey. I've had a lot of fun doing this. Just my real first, full MLB season. And I really wanted to just record these videos to record my process. I want to get better as a DFS player, and I'm sure you do as well. So we've really learned a lot over the season. We've won some contests. We won some money. So I am pretty stoked. Yes. So thank you for all the comments and the likes and the subscribes. If you haven't, subscribe. What are you waiting for? We got the NFL season coming up. I am stoked to announce that I will be doing NFL content now that baseball has kind of wrapped up here. And then I'd like to maybe take on another sport as well. So make sure you subscribe. Don't miss out on any of that free content. All right. So yeah, we have 14 games to talk about here. If you are new to the channel, this is a little bit different than how I normally do it. I usually have slides and we'll break it down one by one. Everything's laid out nice and neat. But today we're going to do it old fashioned. Cheers. It's happy hour with Tim. We got a little less than 2 hours until lock. So yeah, we're going to do it a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more abbreviated. But the first thing I want to look at with you guys is these over under totals here. In baseball, a lot of the games are just kind of similar. Like you're going to see a lot of 8 to 9, 8.5, all that. But what I'm really looking at is to get a good feel of the slate is looking at games with low totals and high totals. So what we're going to see here, like this one here, Philadelphia, Miami, 7 over under, 6.5 over under. So that's going to be a good pitching matchup. So that is noted. Let's see, Milwaukee, LA Dodgers, big power offense, big game for them. They definitely need to win, but that has a somewhat low total here, 7.5, 8. So keep that in mind. Toronto, Baltimore is one of the highest on the slate at 10. Minnesota, Kansas City sitting at 9.5. That's kind of high. Seattle and the Angels 7.5. So we have some low totals. We have some big totals. Boston, Washington, one of the highest ones on the slate as well, 9.5. So that's just kind of just to get a good feel, see what the field's going to do. Those teams are probably going to be super high owned. So that'll kind of help with our strategy. But first game we're going to talk about here is Boston and the Nationals here. Boston needs to win this game if they want to make the playoffs. So they are all in. The last few games, they've been in really good spots against the Orioles in Baltimore, against trash lefties, and they have just sucked. They could not hit out of a paper bag, I swear. So Boston, I mean, they're very much in play. I think they're in a good spot here. We'll look at the pitching here. You have Rodriguez taking on Rogers. Rogers has had a couple decent games. If you look at the last few, however, it was Miami where he put up big ones there. The Pirates hit him pretty well. I think the Red Sox are in a really good spot. And if you look at, hitters, I think all the big bats are in play. Yes, they lose the DH because they're in a National League park. But yeah, they have to win. They're in play for sure. I could see why you'd want to fade them because they have been struggling. And that's a little bit of recency bias, but it is a big slate, so don't think that you have to play the Red Sox. As far as the Nationals go, I'm not too interested. I think they're in play, right? But I think their prices are a little bit high. We can even look at the full, batting order. I actually do like Lane Thomas here on the National side tonight. But these guys, Mercer almost 4K, like Bell's at 5.4, Soto 5.9. He doesn't always get there. Escobar at 4.9. It's just too pricey for me. So not interested in the Nationals. I definitely am interested in the Red Sox. I don't know if I'm going to get there tonight because it is a big slate. 14 games is a lot to kind of pick through. So next one we have is the Toronto. The Rays taking on the Yankees here. Let's look at the pitching. McClanahan taking on Cortez. Not interested in either pitcher in this one. McClanahan just a little bit too expensive, 9,700. He's on a pitch count here, 60 to 80 pitches. It looks like he's been pretty consistent. That's fair. I wish he was more stretched out. They're saving him for the playoffs. So no interest there against the Yankees. Must-win game here for the Yankees as well. Cortez on the other side, almost 9K, 8.9K. He's been somewhat consistent too, decent, but I don't know. Is he going to go 80 pitches? Is he going to go 100? I don't know. I don't think he's going to hit that ceiling that we're looking for tonight against the Rays here. So I am passing on that. I am going to pass on the bats here as well. Both teams have good bullpens, decent starters going. So just going to fade that game. Next, we have the Orioles taking on Toronto. This is going to be one of the more popular games on this 14-game slate. You have Steven Matz taking on Eshelman. Blue Jays are in a really, really, really good spot here. My favorite Blue Jays bat would have been Gurriel, but he is not starting today. So that's unfortunate. But Hernandez has been hitting very, very well. 333 ISO the last 30 days. Semien 420 ISO over the last 30 days. So those are the two guys that are very interesting. I think Hernandez might go a little bit lower owned because he's not facing a lefty. Typically hits lefties well or better, but he has been hitting righties really, really well lately. So I like him there. Toronto very, very much in play. Let's be honest. Like, let's look at this, see if we have any orders here. Springer at 4.9, so cheaper than a lot of those Nationals guys. Semien at 5.4. You could, fade Vlad and put Biggio in that first baseman slot at 3,200. He has good BVP against Eshelman. Eshelman, not a very good pitcher. So yeah, very interesting spot here for Toronto. I think a good chunk of the field is going to be on them. As far as the Orioles go, I do have some interest here. If I'm building one lineup, probably not going to get there, but Hayes, Mancini, Severino, Mountcastle are the four that I really love. And boom, they're all right here. Unfortunately, you can only play either Mountcastle or Mancini. Mancini, nice discount there, but Severino hits lefties very well. This is a big game for Toronto too. So I think they're going to be on their game. Matz has to pitch very well. Making Matt's kind of interesting tonight, but I don't like putting lefties up against Baltimore. I don't like Matt's price. I think there's other pitchers that are a little bit cheaper that are in better spots. So Toronto bats for me. Next, we have Miami and the Phillies here. Alcantara taking on Suarez. Alcantara, probably maybe the best pitcher on this slate, believe it or not, at 10-2. That does feel a little expensive. Last two outings haven't been great. 14 points, 15 points, but then he puts up a big 35 and then a 42 burger there, complete game shutout against the Mets. So he has looked pretty good. He is pitching very well. I think the strikeouts are there, 29.5% strikeout rate over the last 30 days. So that is excellent. This Phillies lineup, a little bit watered down tonight. So I'm off the bats. So if you can afford Sandy, I would say go for it for sure. Suarez on the other side, I think he's going to be one of the best pitchers on the slate. He's going to be one of the most popular pitchers on the slate. These two, you can play them together. That's totally fine. You might think that's negative EV because you don't have the win-win potential, but one of these guys could get the win. Suarez over the last 30 days, 27% strikeout rate here, 51.8% ground ball rate. He just gets a lot of ground ball outs. He's looked pretty good, and he's facing a Miami Marlins team who is just straight up horrible right now, striking out all over the place here. So Ranger Suarez firmly in play. Probably, my go-to pitcher tonight. He's a little bit cheaper, 8 I think that's a fine price against the Marlins here. He's going to be popular, don't get me wrong, but if you're playing small field contests or cash, like, you have to lock him in. I think, can he get blown up? Sure. There's always a chance, but he is in a very good spot here. And then as far as bats go, just no interest here. Next, we have the Mets taking on Atlanta. Atlanta, we got some of the lineup. We got their lineup out. Looks like Peterson, Adrianza, Albies, Riley, Rosario. They're sitting a ton of guys here. So that actually piques my interest a little bit for McGill, 8.9. I don't like the price on him. He's actually been struggling a decent amount. But yeah, I think, he struggles against lefties here. You have one in Albies who's a switch hitter, Peterson, Rosario. Does that scare me? Not necessarily, but McGill has been a little bit roughed up there, but he has a decent strikeout rate here. So I think he can be in play. Maybe with these guys sitting, that might bump up his ownership a little bit. So I'm probably not going to be on him personally, but and then on the other side against the Mets. Mets seem to be hitting the ball pretty well as of late. I think Mets bats are in play here. Nimmo, Lindor, 339 ISO lately. The last 30 days, Alonso 328 ISO. Baez is cheap. Conforto is extremely cheap. And he is not in the lineup. So you do not have the luxury of rostering Conforto. But yeah, I think they're in play. I am off the Braves bats here for the most part. Let's see. I was really interested in Soler, Duvall, and Rosario, but Rosario is in there. 3.4. I wish he was, back at 2.9. But yeah, looks like they're sitting Soler, they're sitting Duvall. So off the Braves. Makes me a little bit more interested in Miguel. So I'm kind of glad we're doing this little happy hour with Tim here. Next one we have is the Indians taking on the Rangers. Eli Morgan here, 7.3K. This feels like a trap. I think he's going to pick up some ownership here because there is this weird tier of like 7K guys that are salary relief, and he's taking on a Rangers team that it just straight up isn't that good. However, they're not as bad against righties as they are against lefties here. This certainly feels like a trap game. 28 points last one out. He did face the White Sox, crushed them. Is that an outlier? I'm not sure. 17 points. If he got 17, 20 points for that salary, I think I would actually be happy. But this is what Eli Morgan can also do. He can get negative 6.9. He can get you 7. He can get you 3. He can get you negative. He can get you 30. So just very inconsistent. I think the control is fine. I think the control is there, but he could just get, babbited to death by the Rangers. So I have some interest in Morgan. Don't get me wrong. But that's only if like I guess I'm just going to play him type of thing. He's been struggling against left-handed bats lately as well. So that makes Nate Lowe very much in play. He is in the lineup hitting cleanup here at 4.5K. He's probably going to go not owned at all. But Calhoun at 2.3, he's going to be super chalk. If you're playing cash games, you might want to throw him in that lineup at 2.3. He is a lefty against Morgan, so that looks like a solid salary saver there. As far as the Texas pitchers go, just not interested here. And then like Cleveland bats, they're struggling lately. The last 30 days or so. So excuse me, I am off that. I'm pretty much probably off this game to a point. Next, we have Detroit and the White Sox here. Lance Lynn taking on Peralta. Lynn at 9.5. Hell of a year he's had, right? 2.72 ERA. Strikeouts are, down a little bit. He is a righty facing the Tigers. I love throwing righties against the Tigers, but I did a little bit of more digging, and they actually have been hitting righties pretty well. And I might just fade Lynn and let other people take the ownership. White Sox, they're in the playoffs. They don't really have much to play for. His last game, 9 fantasy points, 15, 28, and then 5. I think they're going to let him maybe go 80 to 90. They're not going to pressure him. I think they're going to want to save his arm. So at 9.5, I'm just not that interested. I'm not saying stack against him, but I think I'm going to pass on Lance Lynn. Unless you're, mass multi-entering, I think he's in play. Kind of interesting. But, Castro, Candelario, Scope, Badu, they've been hitting very well lately. So that's kind of interesting. Only if you're kind of doing, big GPP stuff. And then on the other side with the White Sox, Gavin Sheets, let's pull him up right now. And if he's in the lineup, he is hitting 8th. Man, LaRussa, what are you doing? Why aren't you starting this guy higher up? He is crushing the ball right now. 21-19 in the last 2 games here. Back-to-back home runs. That might make me a little cautious because I don't know if he can hit 3 in a row. But yeah, he's interesting. He profiles really, really well at this point. Garcia, Grandal, but I think I'm just going to fade this game in general. Next, we have Houston and Oakland. Pitching wise, we have Valdez taking on Manaea. Valdez 10-1, big pass there. He has pitched pretty well this season, but the strikeout rate is way down the last 30 days, getting 71% ground balls, which is excellent. So he's getting outs. He just doesn't have the ceiling that I'm looking for right now in tonight's game against Oakland. Tougher matchup. However, I'm not going to go after any Oakland bats because Valdez has that nasty ground ball rate. 71% lately. So that's pretty crazy. And then Manaea on the other side, I'm not interested. Tough matchup, 9-1 against the Astros. He's been super up and down too. If you want to play him, fine. But Altuve, Alvarez, Tucker, Siri, they all have been hitting left-handers very well, making them somewhat in play as a contrarian option. Next, we have the Minnesota Twins taking on the Royals here. Gant taking on Heasley. Heasley making his 3rd start here. Had a decent outing against Detroit last time out, 15 fantasy points. 5.2K is fairly cheap if you're looking to save salary. There's plenty of bats to spend up for. That's for damn sure. I'm not going to play him. That's for sure. Minnesota's been kind of hot as of late. Gant on the other side, I think he's attackable too. Nothing special there. Let's look at these lineups here. Merrifield 4-7 feels a little bit pricey. Lopez, no way. I love Perez here at the catcher spot, even as a one-off. I don't think many people are just going to be playing him as a one-off. So at 5.5K, he's chasing 50 home runs. He's got a few games left to do it. He might hit one out of the park tonight. So I like him a lot. I think primarily just going to stick with him. I really wish Isbell was in there, but he is not. So, and then on the other side, I really am focused on this Twins lineup here. Arez, only if I'm full stacking, but Buxton is on fire right now, 4.7K. How could you not want to play him? He's very much in play. Polanco, Donaldson's been hitting the ball well the last couple days. Kepler's in the lineup. He looks fine at 3.7. Sano, tons of power. Rooker, big salary saver there at 2.3K. So I definitely have some interest in the Twins here, especially if I'm building 1 to 3 lineups. I think they're very much in play. Next, we have the Cubs and the Cardinals. Cardinals in the playoffs. They got Hudson going on the mound. And then Alzolay on the mound for the Cubs here. Alzolay started out the year really strong, big strikeout rate, still has strikeout stuff, but they're just kind of babying him at this point. 50 pitches. So just I'm off of him. The Cardinals bats, I think, are in play here. Do we have a lineup here? We do. Goldschmidt, 5K, O'Neill, Arenado. The meat of the order always looks good. You could kind of level it out by throwing some Newt Bar in there. DeJong has some pop. I'm probably not going to play the Cardinals, but I could see why. The Cubs bullpen has been struggling lately, and the bullpen's probably going to come in early, but I'm probably not going. I'm going to be chasing upside here. And although the Cardinals are good, I just don't think they have the upside on a 14-game slate. And then for the Cubs, I definitely had a lot of interest in the Cubs initially doing like my research here. And we'll go back to this order. They don't have their order yet, but Contreras, a decent catching option at 3.5K, probably goes low owned. Schwindel 3.2. He's been looking pretty good. Hap, I love a lot. So Hap, I think, is firmly in the mix, but only as like a 3-man stack. So I have interest there. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but yeah, definitely interested. Colorado and Arizona next. Gray and Castellanos. Gray 7.7K. He's been really struggling against left-handed batters over the last 30 days. So Arizona is going to be throwing a lot of lefties there. Lefty. Oh, one right-hander. Lefty, and then the pitcher spot. So I am off of Gray because of that reason. He is really struggling against lefties. So not interested there. Castellanos, no upside. Rockies lineup, not that interested outside of Coors. So this game gets the axe. Hard pass there. Just get rid of it. Next, we have the Padres taking on the Giants. Desclafani taking on God knows who. The Padres just totally imploded and gave up on the season. Who cares, right? Throw in the towel. Who gives a shit? They're out of here. Giants, there's some playoff implications here. Giants and the Dodgers both chasing first place. So I think they have to win this game. It is cold in San Francisco. I'm not interested in any Padres. I just think they gave up. They don't care anymore. Giants, La Stella, Crawford, Yastrzemski, Duggar, Longo. If they're in the lineup, no chance they got the lineup out yet. No, not at all. So that could be some edge there, taking some of these later games. But I don't know how many runs the Giants are going to put up. Desclafani, I had some interest there in pitcher, but I don't know, man. He's been really struggling. Padres still actually have a decent lineup here. 7, 17, 29 his last few games. The price is nice at 7.2, but I think there's enough lefties whom Desclafani struggles against. I think there's enough lefties in the Padres bats to kind of make me stay away. And then Giants side, I already told you some of my favorites there, but Crawford, Yastrzemski would be the two that I would look to the most. Next is the Brewers and the Dodgers here. Kershaw taking on Laurel. Initially, I really wanted to get on the Dodgers. They have to win this game. They have a fantastic offense. I stacked them up last night. They did me well. I cashed. It was awesome. But tough matchup against Laurel. I'm totally butchering his name. Mr. Eric. Eric, 32 his last outing there. 19, 27, 26, 19. He's just been balling, man. He is on fire. He's getting strikeouts. He does have a tough matchup here, or else I would be interested. And that could be a contrarian route if you wanted to maybe late swap into a different guy. And that's something we can maybe discuss in a future video, the perks of late swapping and trying to find an edge there. But yeah, Laurel, I don't think he's in play. I don't think he's out of play. I think he's super contrarian or maybe in some crazy GPP, like that big bat flip contest. But on the other side, Kershaw, 10K. What are we going to see here? 5 points last time, 27, 14, 6. I don't know what we're going to see. I think, at this point, they're going to have to unleash him. He's only going about 75 pitches the last 2 outings. I think they're just going to, if he's having a hell of a good game, they might keep him in there to maybe 6, 7 innings. And God, I hope they do, because he is going to be very low owned. No one's not going to not have him, but I could see in some contests being 10, 15% owned there. So because of that reason, because of ownership, I definitely have interest because he does have upside and the Brewers can strike out. So I am interested in Kershaw for sure. Eric Laurel, I don't think I'm in on. Dodgers bats, I think they're in play. They're just really expensive. Let's look at it. Like Betts is 6K. Turner, who has been hitting the ball very well, last few games there. So I'm interested. The bats that I am interested in, maybe if I can get a 3-man stack, I'll be super stoked on it. But Seager, Turner, Muncy, Pollock, if they make the lineup there, as they should, because they really need to win this game. And then the final game we have to talk about here is the Angels taking on the Mariners. Gonzalez taking on Suarez. Suarez, no upside, no strikeout upside there. Seattle is fighting for their lives. They're in the mix too. They need the Red Sox to lose, and the Mariners need to win to make the playoffs. So I'm not interested in stacking this game. I think this is going to be more fun of a real life game. The Angels in general have been pretty terrible. That kind of makes Gonzalez in play at 8.4K. I think he's just been kind of getting lucky though. If you kind of look at it, like strikeouts are somewhat there, not great. 24 his last outing. People might see that and go to him. He might be like 30% owned in some contests. I for that reason, I don't want to have any part of that. I don't want any chalk Marco in my lineups here, because before that, 16, 18, 15, he gives up a lot of fly balls, a lot of fly balls. So you could stack some Angels against him. We definitely don't have a lineup out yet. But yeah, I mean, you could. Ohtani's always in play for sure. I like him there. Stassi, if he's in the lineup. Walsh, I don't care if it's lefty matchup, no one's going to play him. So they have options. They got cheap guys if you need salary relief, but I'm probably not going to get to any of these bats. I might just fade this game in general, just because I think the Vegas odds on this particular game are super low, 7.5 there. So yeah, I'm not interested in there, but there's my thoughts here. Kind of broke it down. Unfortunately, I didn't get to the slides and make it a little bit easier for all of us going forward, but I just wanted to get something out before lock. So go ahead. Best of luck to you today. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, this isn't not new what I usually do here. So yeah, make sure you check out some future videos there, and best of luck. Take it easy. Peace.